Okay, so remember I told y'all that we were going to talk about the constitutional amendments that are coming up Tuesday, November the 4th, 2025. That's in a few months. And this article kind of represents how they are going, or how they have been presenting this, and they've been presenting these news stories around the state. So this is relevant to every Texan. So 162 murdered by offenders out on bond in Harris County since 2021, state senator says. By the great Greg Grugan, I think it is, at Fox 26. Can't stand him since 2022 election, when he seemed to only be able to interview Republican precinct election workers who were surprisingly absent from the trials surrounding the election. They were nowhere to be found. Isn't that crazy? I wonder why that is. Crazy how he's still allowed to be a journalist, since all the people that he interviewed just didn't bother to show up to the trial where they had, proof and were witness to Republicans being prevented from voting because the Democrats didn't deliver paper. But anyways, whatever, Greg. So it says bond reform has been a priority for several Republicans. Joan Hoffman, senator, has been championing those. She's the face of it. And look at that third paragraph. I love this third paragraph. Judges claim they are bound by law to set bond regardless of how predatory the defendant is or how certain he or she is to reoffend if freed from custody. Oh my God, so certain. Is everyone fucking psychic? Oh my God. Anyways, but let's move on to the amendment. Basically, it would deny bail under limited circumstances to a person accused of certain violent or sexual offenses or continuous human trafficking. Whatever the fuck that is going to mean. Oh, and the last little paragraph right there says it was passed by a 28-2 vote. It was bipartisan. There were a few Democrats that were voting on this because, well, you'll see why in a second. And here's good old Greg. I've heard some Democrats say Texas judges have all the discretion they need from the Constitution now. Is that accurate? And Huffman does say absolutely not. And the reason being is that they do not have discretion now to keep violent individuals who pose a risk to the community. Basically, she just says that the mechanism does not exist right now because the Constitution says everybody is allowed bail. Period. The end. And it's funny because she's telling the truth now, but if you asked Randy Wallace and Andy Cahan a few years ago, they were telling a lot of lies on breaking bond. It was insane. I might go back and see if I can find some of those. And then he says, crime victim advocates say that Democrats will have blood on their hands, basically, if they did not pass the amendment or the bill to move forward with the amendment. And then she says, well, it's not hyperbole because it's actually shown by data. Maybe I couldn't say that 5 years ago, but I think now, giving the statistic of the 162 murders, that's hard data. That's collected. Do you want to see the data? Let's look at the data. So here's the data. The green is everyone that was out on bond that did not unalive someone. And that little tiny red sliver right there at the very top, really tiny, that little thing right there, that was the amount of people from 2021 to 2024 that unalived someone while they were out on bond. That's like not even 1%. It's 0.11% of people. And they want you to approve this amendment and deteriorate our constitutional rights. Not only that, not only will it take away constitutional rights, it is also going to be expensive as fuck. Let me tell you, felony cases, I think a minimum of a year, expect for somebody to be on pretrial, and at about $65 to $70 a day to keep them on pretrial. Mind you, we are already outsourcing to 3 other jails. Our jails are already at capacity. We're already outsourcing to 3 other jails. So that's a whole different cost, I'm sure. But it's about $65 to $70 a day, which is probably like $27 million a year for like 1,000 people. Last year alone, we had 37,000, I think, 37,000 on felony bond. And I think at least 9,000 of those, 10,000 of those were probably like assault. So it's going to be a lot more than 1,000 people that we are going to be paying for, because the state isn't going to help. They're not going to chip in. They're not going to use any part of that surplus that they have to help house all these people and hire the staff to take care of them and to fund their medical needs. And while they're waiting for trial, a trial that will probably never come, case will probably get dismissed. While they're waiting, while we're paying for everything, the state is not going to help us pay for that. People are going to die while they're waiting on pretrial, and there will probably be lawsuits because we're so overburdened right now in the jails. And mind you, these people that are going to be locked up, they're going to lose their jobs. They're going to lose their homes probably. Their families are going to be, decimated. And then that is how you continue the cycle of crime, if that is the case. Also, mind you, these people are going to be innocent as well. The case is going to be dismissed. People are going to be innocent. The idea that everyone who is charged with a crime is guilty is insane. I don't know where you all get that from. I don't know. That's not always the case for a variety of reasons. So it's going to be a lot of wasted money. And for what? Because the Republicans want to redirect your attention to something that causes emotion. They know that people love fearful things. They like to be scared. People love to be scared. And you want to feel like you're doing something, as opposed to funding things like schools and community impact actions, things that actually do prevent crime. Look at Baltimore, where their crime has just totally drowned down because the fucking mayor invested in the things that he needed to invest in. The data's there. The real data is there. We know how to reduce crime and how to save lives. The Republicans are going to continue to focus on these emotional little pieces because they don't want you to pay attention to the fact they aren't funding our schools, that they aren't funding our healthcare, that they are shipping kids off in CPS to other states and outsourcing. So pay attention. Reject the amendment when you see it. Reject it. Reject the amendment. Thank you.